I have no belief. Because of that, I can never be a happy man. Because happy men should never fear that their lives drift meaninglessly toward the certainty of death. I've inherited neither a God nor a fixed point on this earth from where I can attract a God's attention. Nor have I inherited the skeptic's well-hidden rage, the rationalist's barren mind, or the atheist's burning innocence. But I would not dare throw a stone at those who believe in what I doubt, much less at those who idolize doubt, as if that was not also surrounded by darkness. The stone would strike me instead. There is one thing of which I'm firmly convinced. Our need for consolation is insatiable. I chase after consolation, like a hunter tracking prey. Wherever I glimpse a sudden flash of it in the woods, I shoot. Usually, empty air is all I hit, yet sometimes my target drops right at my feet. Since I know the breath of consolation is as fleeting as a breeze sifting through the treetops, I rush to take hold of my prey. But what is it that I'm holding in my arms? Since I'm alone, a lover, or another lone drifter, since I'm a poet, a bow of words whose tension fills me with both joy and dread, since I'm a prisoner, a sudden glimpse of freedom, since I'm threatened by death, a warm, living creature, a heart beating mockingly, since I'm threatened by the sea, a cut of unyielding granite rising just above the tide. But there are also consolations that come to me like uninvited guests and fill my room with their vulgar whispers. I am your desire, lust after everyone. I am your talent. Abuse me as you do yourself. I am your hunger for pleasure. Only the one who tastes lives fully. I am your solitude. Despise mankind. I am your longing for death. Cut. No one can count the times we need consolation. And no one knows when the shadow may fall. My life is a balancing act haunted by two opposing forces. On the one side, a greedy appetite for excess, and on the other side, a cheap bitterness that only feeds on itself. But I refuse to choose between orgy and abstinence. I have no philosophy in which I can move like the fish in water or a bird in the air. All I have is an endless struggle, every second of my life, a struggle between the false consolations that only add to my feeling of powerlessness and deepen my despair, and the true consolations that bring me momentary freedom. I should probably say the true consolation, because for me there's only one that exists. The one that allows me to know myself as a free human being, within my own boundaries, untouchable. I can walk on the beach and suddenly sense in the endless tides of the sea and in the endless chase of the wind the terrifying challenge that eternity poses to my existence. I can sit before a fire in the safest of rooms and suddenly sense death all around. It's in the fire, in every sharp object at hand, in the weight of the ceiling, the mass of the walls, in the water, the snow, the heat, and in my blood. I can fill all my white paper with the most beautiful combinations of words that light up in my mind. Since I long for confirmation that my life is not meaningless, that I'm not alone on this earth, I collect my words into a book and give it to the world. In return, the world gives me money and fame and silence. And what do I care for money? And what do I care if I contribute to the evolution of literature? I only care about that which I never receive. Confirmation that my words had touched the world's heart. We all have our masters. I'm such a slave to my talent that I dare not use it for fear of discovering that it has been lost. I'm such a slave to my reputation that I hardly dare write a line. When depression finally sets in, I become a slave to that as well. My greatest ambition becomes to hold on to it. My greatest desire becomes to feel that my only worth lies in what I fear that I've lost. The ability to squeeze beauty out of my despair, anxieties, and failings. With a bitter joy, I long to see my houses fall to ruins and myself snowed under, forgotten. But depression has 7 boxes, and in the 7th lies a knife, a razor, a vial of poison, deep water, and a leap from a tall building. Finally, I become a slave to these instruments of death. They stalk me like a pack of wild dogs, or am I the dog following them? And then I think I realize that suicide is the sole proof of human freedom. But from a direction still unknown to me comes the miracle of liberation. It could occur on the beach, where the same eternity that so recently evoked my fear now witnesses the birth of my freedom. What is this miracle made of? Simply the realization that nobody, no power nor person, has the right to make such demands on me that my desire for life withers away. For without that, what can exist? Since I stand by the sea, I can learn from the sea. No one has the right to demand of the sea that it bear all boats, or of the wind that it continually fill all sails. Likewise, no one has the right to demand of me that my life should be captive to performing only certain tasks. Not duty above all, but life. I, like everyone else, must have the right to step back from that working mass called the Earth's population and experience myself as a separate being. Only at that moment, I can stand free against the harsh facts of life that gave rise to my despair and acknowledge that the sea and the wind will indeed outlive me and that eternity does not care about my fate. My life is short only if I place it on time's chopping block. My possibilities are only limited if I count them in the number of words or books that I turn out before I die. But who asks me to count? Everything significant that I experience, all that gives my life a sense of wonder, a meeting with a lover, a caress on my skin, help in distress, eyes reflecting moonlight, sailing on the open sea, the joy a child inspires, the shiver when faced with beauty. All of this occurs beyond the bounds of time. Whether I encounter it for only a second or for a span of 100 years, beauty is the same. It does not matter. And so I lift the burden of time from my shoulders, and with that also the demand to perform. My life is nothing that should be measured. Neither a buck's leap nor the sunrise are performances. A human life is not a performance either, but a growing toward perfection. That which is perfect does not struggle to achieve. It works while at rest. It would be meaningless to say that the sea exists to carry armadas and contain dolphins. It does these things, of course, but with its freedom intact. And it would be just as meaningless to say that people exist for anything else other than to live. Of course, man feeds machines or writes books. It could just as easily do something else. It's important that man does what he does while retaining his sense of freedom, clearly aware that he, like every other part of creation, is an end in himself, resting in himself like a stone in the sand. Yet, it's not in my power to constantly remain turned toward the sea and compare its freedom to mine. The time comes when I have to turn back toward land and meet the organizers of my oppression. And there I find that humans have created forms for their lives that seem stronger than themselves. But with all my newly won freedom, I cannot crush these forms, only groan under their weight. I realize that one kind of freedom is forever lost. The freedom that comes with owning your own element. The fish has its own, the bird its own. The land creature has its own. Man, however, moves about with the perils of a stranger in them all. Today, where can people live in freedom outside the hardened molds of society? I have to reply, nowhere. Today, if I want to live freely, it has to be within these walls. So the world is stronger than I am, and I have nothing with which to meet its power other than myself. But on the other hand, that is everything. So long as I'm not defeated, I too am a power. And my power is tremendous so long as I have the strength of my words with which to challenge the world. Because those who use words to build prisons cannot compare to those who use them to build freedom. But on the day when all that remains to defend my integrity is my silence, my power will be boundless. Because no axe can cut the silence that breathes. This is my consolation. I know that lapses into hopelessness will be many and deep, but the memory of the wonder of my liberation carries me like wings towards the dizzying goal. A consolation that is more than a consolation and greater than a philosophy. A reason to live.